You moved from outside linebacker to defensive end this year. Doesn't always sound like a big move, but how has that impacted you as a player this year?
Well, it's a very comfortable position for me. I played it in high school, so it was kind of my first position I ever played on defense, and so it wasn't much of a learning curve. I kind of knew the technique and how to play it, and it gave me a little bit more freedom to play defensive end and just kind of just go get the ball kind of deal. And I've succeeded pretty well at it. That's thanks to coaching and the scheme I'm in.
Interesting from the standpoint of size. You're 6'1", we list you at 228. Not exactly big for a defensive end, but yet, as you said, much more effective for you this year playing at that size.
Definitely. The coaches really, in the spring, evaluated everybody and everyone at every position, and they saw me for a fit at defensive end. They saw my speed and my athleticism, and I'm not that big, but believe it or not, I'm kind of strong, so I can handle some of those 300-pound tackles, and it's worked perfectly. It's worked great with the coaching. Coach Neely has given me just the insight. Him at a Division I level playing there, he just has so much vast knowledge, and it's really helped my game.
It's interesting when you mention Coach Neely, because when you look at him, he's not necessarily, you talked about him as Division I player, but not necessarily big as Division I players go. So maybe, some assimilation there.
Definitely. It's all about technique when it gets to this level in college. It's not all about strength. You really got to perfect your craft, and that's what Coach Neely did. He told us many stories about he was last on the depth chart, and he worked his way all the way up to starting his sophomore year, and that's just from to keep working on your craft.
Okay. Against Lockhaven, you had one of the best games a defensive player has had at Edinboro in many years, with 8.5 tackles for losses, 5 sacks. Talk about that game.
That game, it was just one of those games I was in the zone. We had a great game plan going in, first of all. And during film, we watched the entire line, and we thought this is something we could take advantage of, the right side of their line, and it worked out perfectly. We had some schemes against their blocking, their zone blocking schemes, and it worked perfectly. And my speed really helped that game.
When we talk about the sacks and that, I would think that's one of the things as a defensive end now. Pretty much your role is just go get the passer, whereas as the outside linebacker, you'd have to drop into coverage at times and things of that nature.
Definitely. As a defensive end, your one goal is to get to the backfield and cause havoc, and that's kind of just been my mindset when I'm lining up, is doing my job and just causing havoc in the backfield. And that game was probably my best game.
Yeah. Since that time, have you seen teams play you differently?
Not necessarily. I think they've been watching film, of course, on me, and they've seen some of my tendencies, and they've worked on that. But so far, sliding protection my way, I haven't really seen. But no, probably just looking at my technique and seeing how I move and what moves I go to, I can see them doing that.
Talk about your role on the defense this year, not just from a performance standpoint, but from a leadership standpoint.
Well, like you said, I'm one of those seniors on the team. Me, Kibbe, Shansky are really anchor that defense. And I'm not much of a vocal leader, but from a standpoint of how to do things right, I think I'm a good example. Coaches always point to me in team meetings and see what Victor is doing, see how he's doing it. And I try to just be that leader for everybody on the team, not just the defense.
Is there a player that you pattern yourself after?
There's a couple players. Vaughn Miller, of course, he's just an animal. Watching him is just spectacular. It's a human highlight film. Robert Quinn, defensive end for Los Angeles Rams, and he's just phenomenal. And Dwight Freeney, because I love his spin move, and I always try to imitate that on the field.
Your brother Vincent's a linebacker on the team. What's it like having your brother on the team?
Headache. No, I love that kid. Me and him push each other all the time. I'm getting up there in age, and he keeps me young to the standpoint of always trying to work out. He's always trying to get an extra lift. He's always trying, yo, Vic, come on, do this with me. And I'm just like, oh, my body's aching. He'll get to that point. He'll realize what I'm feeling now. But he's always pushing me, whether it's in sprints at the end of practice. He's always standing by me. He's like, come on, Vic, you got to beat me. And you got to love that kind of personality on the team. And since he's my brother, it makes it all better.
You had a rather interesting internship this summer. Talk about what you did.
Well, I was a ticket operations intern with the Erie Seawolves this summer, and I loved every moment of it. And trust me, there was a lot of moments of it. I was there sometimes 9 to 11, sometimes 9 to 12 picking up fireworks, but it was awesome. It was a great experience with everyone there. Greg Coleman, Justin Carter, just giving me valuable experience that I don't think I could have gained anywhere else.
Now, is that something that you would like to do when you move on, or what type of goals do you have professionally when you get done here?
Well, I'm a sports management major here at Edinboro, and I got a side of the professional side, that kind of. But I think I want to do collegiate sports. I want to be an athletic director. It's kind of where I'm leaning towards right now. It's just something I see you, Bob. I see Bruce Baumgartner, and that's someone who I look up to, and I would love to do that kind of job one day.